I do want to get more into what Joel Embiid did last night, and we will in a second, Stugotz. But something just happened in the eating area that was fun and funny to watch, although I don't know that Mike Ryan experienced it that way because his despondence, while the audience likes to eat and drink his tears, his despondence was real because it just broke that the Heat have indeed acquired Mike Ryan's second least favorite player ever, Terry Rozier. And I'm assuming, I don't know any of the details.
That's an upgrade, Scary Terry, because that's, the least favorite player that Mike has is Kyle Lowry. They traded up for his second least favorite player in Scary Terry.
All right.
It's a good trade. I mean, the guy could fill it up.
Okay, at a 37% clip. And
45%.
No, this
37%
year,
from three.
No. His life. I'm talking about when I think of Terry, everything in his life, Terry Rozier does at 37%. Everything. I'm not talking about just basketball. 37% efficiency. Don't talk to me about now when he can do it for a bad team. No. Don't do that, please.
They beat the T-Wolves. I mean,
it's a bad day for Heat culture.
I want to do something here. Thank you, Billy. I want to do something every time someone mentions culture around here. I want an actual shock collar because I know the audience hates it. And I want somebody to be punished every time the word culture is uttered in any context here.
Well, it's on jerseys. You have to say it now. It's Heat culture. It's part of their uniform. It's a sad day. The guy that led you to 2 Eastern Conference Finals, 1 NBA Finals, champion guy on your roster is now gone. And I think, Dan, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that bit that you want now because Kyle's gone. So what's the point? I can't. We can't give the Heat the money now, and I don't know that this is a bit to be seen through because we're just rewarding them for bad behavior.
Because you hate saying things on the microphone and then having to actually do them. And
no falsehoods.
Look,
if anyone knows anything about me, I'm a Kyle Lowry stan, as they say. And now that he's gone, I'm going to have to look for a new guy. I don't know if it's Scary Terry.
You don't even want money from the company. And it's not about you not wanting to actually do work of developing a character. It's because you defend and protect Kyle Lowry so much.
Not just that, journalism as well.
Yes. So anyway, because I'd like to replace Billy at some point with Taylor, and because Taylor is in the other room, he was standing over Mike Ryan as a Knicks fan, laughing at Mike Ryan had his head in his hands. Mike Ryan, I don't know. Do you know what Mike Ryan went through last week? And Mike Ryan, I have not seen him this despondent, I'm going to say, in 7 years. Taylor, what did you witness from over there when you saw that you got the joy as a Knicks fan of seeing Mike Ryan destroyed by a transaction his beloved team had made?
It was a despondent Mike Ryan. It's a bad day for Heat culture, Dan, but it is a great day for the haters.
Mike Ryan, we are about to send Taylor out to do a new
that's a damn shame.
A new segment. Well, I want to make him a star. Even though he's scared, he's
a scared star.
Yeah, he's a scared star.
It works.
I need Taylor as a Knicks fan to develop some strength around here and be able to laugh at Heat culture because he was laughing at Heat culture during the break.
No team is ever a Terry Rozier away from winning a title.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show.
My dude's spitting.
Is a team ever a Terry Rozier away from the title?
I'm very confused how to perceive this trade because it's not the All-Star break yet, so I haven't started following it as the Heat guy. But Jeremy seemed very excited about this move, and Mike seemed very not excited about this move. So there's like a wide-ranging spectrum of how to break down this trade.
Am I allowed to give my opinion, or am I a homer?
You can go sit in the penalty box
for
limping in that way.
Well, no, I know I'm going to get interrupted.
Just give the take, man.
That's not fair.
You can go ahead and leave.
I would have appreciated his perspective.
I hope Taylor replaces you two. I hope Taylor climbs up in the company and more Knicks power ends up emerging here to knock down some of these homers. But Taylor, before we send you out, what are we going to do with this segment? I don't want you to reveal too much, but we've been putting pressure on Taylor, making him talk fast. He's already scared. Something about growing up around this show. He's afraid to talk. He's otherwise a very good broadcaster, but he's scared to talk around here because he respects the constructs too much. What are we sending you out to do? What can you tell the people?
It is going to be a swift report where I give a take pretty fast and just have to be efficient with my time.
Okay.
Small windows.
All right. So Taylor swiftly is what we're trying to do to capitalize on the Taylor Swift algorithm, and we will find out if that segment replaces Billy and Jeremy. But, Mike, your honest thoughts on what the Miami Heat have done. Don't you trust this team after all of this time?
No. I stopped trusting them when they acquired Kyle Lowry and then struck out on every superstar of the last, 3.5 years or so.
Don't you trust the coach to make them better, though?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do. I think
Okay.
I think the greatest strength of Eric Spoelstra is to continue to improve despite what the front office has given him, which is often them striking out. Any day that Kyle Lowry is not on the Miami Heat, I deem a good day. But when you get Terry Rozier back, who I think historically throughout his career has been a bit of a black hole on offense, a low-efficiency player, although you need some bucket getters in the postseason, and I'm curious to see what he does with Eric Spoelstra. I guess if it were Terry Rozier from this year, under Spo, which is on the surface what it seems like.
You'll take it?
That's certainly an upgrade over what they had. It's just I'm holding Terry Rozier's career against him. And I'm not
trust,
a fan of the player.
I don't trust him at all. I think he's going to be inefficient. But I do trust the Heat organization to know what it's doing.
If you trust the organization, you trust the coach. He's averaging 23 points a game. He's doing it on 46% shooting from the field.
Stugotz.
Dan, why would you think he's not going to be better here?
Because Karl Anthony Towns scored 62 points last night, and they lost because a lot of guys, there's the lead option on a team in that league, can score a bunch, and they're going to lose. Like, somebody's got to get the stats on a professional basketball team.
I understand that, but you either trust the coach and his ability to make players better once they get here, or you don't.
I'm curious to see how the team uses him. I'll reserve judgment for that, but my lack of excitement is because I don't rate the player.
I will say this, Stugotz, okay? Because he does rate the coach. This is what I would say to you. When you say, well, do you trust Terry Rozier or not? Do you trust the coach or not? They have Joel Embiid. Like, you're going up now against that.
Right.
And you've got to be better than that. And Terry Rozier's not better than that.
Well,
like
Joel Embiid has some proving to do on his own right because he gets everybody worked up every year. Mm-hmm. And last year was an MVP year, and they haven't gotten out of the second round.
Correct.
So
their team is better. Boston is better. Milwaukee is better.
Yeah, all those teams were better last year, and the Heat made it to the finals.
They're always better. They've been better since LeBron left here.
But
Miami's been the most successful team in that conference.
But Jimmy Butler is older, and they're 31-31 when their core is playing together. And we will get Jeremy in here in a second to talk about this. But, Lucy, I don't believe that you feel like anything we're talking about is interesting.
I don't even care a little bit. Not even a little. But I love to see you guys just debate it out, and I'll just sit here. I'll do my own thing, and I'll talk to you later, Dan.
Who's winning?
Jeremy.
Oh.
He needs a win right now, so I'm giving it to him.
Fair. Okay, that's just a pity win you're giving
that's
him?
Fair.
Absolutely.
What's fair about that? What do you mean that's fair?
He could use
my
a W.
rules.
Yeah.
You asked me who was winning, and I gave my answer.
Seems
you
like Taylor is winning.
Actually, yeah, you know what? Take it back. I give it to Taylor.
I would love to get OG Anunoby. That would be something to get excited about.
The Heat are jealous of what the Knicks have done.
We're bad at trades now. We're bad at executing them. We're bad at having leverage. Like, we're just bad at it now. And we're good at drafting now, which is the polar opposite of what this franchise has been built on, and we just traded a first-round draft pick. However, it is protected, so I am feeling a little bit better about it. But I wasn't – you guys are doing bit when you say I was despondent. This rolled off my back. It's just one bad player out, another one that I haven't liked in, whatever. The Heat have disappointed me to the point of I can't even work up a fake emotion for this one. I am rather indifferent.
Technically, didn't they trade for LeBron James? I mean, just it's a sign and trade, right?
Yeah, it was a sign and trade.
It was.
Yeah,
they're bad at trading.
That was the best trade of all time. The Kyle Lowry acquisition was the worst.
Jeremy, we will go to you in a second, but I just want, because Billy's not going to give me the character that I want, honest Heat guy, until after the All-Star break. Taylor, can you, before you leave to do Taylor swiftly, can
it's a Taylor Swift report if we want to game the algos.
Okay, Mike Ryan is claiming that he wasn't actually despondent out there. During the break, when no one was watching, it was just us observing. You tell me your honest appraisal of, because I saw how much you were enjoying Mike suffering, your honest appraisal of the condition Mike was in.
He looked hurt. There's no way to frame it. The second he realized, I think, when they added a first-round pick, I think that's when the hurt really set in.
Jeremy, thank you, Taylor. Go out
Protected,
there
though.
and do your Taylor Swift report. Jeremy, now give me your thoughts and condense them, please. I don't want to keep sending you away.
Kyle Lowry for Terry Rozier and a protected first round pick with Kyle Lowry is a solid move for the Heat, and that Terry Rozier is second in the league in scoring efficiency and pick and roll offense. The Heat have really struggled offensively as of late. They need someone who can penetrate and get to the lane. Obviously, Tyler Hero has not been as efficient as they would hope in doing so, and having another player who can score, whether it's off the bench or in the starting lineup, is going to help them offensively. There are some redundant skill sets between him and Hero. I'm intrigued to see the way that Spo staggers those minutes and is able to really use Rozier productively, but he's been sort of a looter and a riot on a really bad team. I'm intrigued to see the way he fits in as a role player on this team as probably the fourth or fifth option offensively, but this team right now in this window did just get better in getting rid of Kyle Lowry and adding Terry Rozier and having a protected first-round pick in 2027. I don't know how you can view that as a net negative at the moment.
Stugotz, would you do me the favor of just looking at the numbers? I think it was Tony Campbell of the Timberwolves many years ago who just came close to scoring more points than anyone in the league because he played on an unbelievably team, and it looked like he was a breakout star, even though the team was terrible, because every night in the NBA, somebody's got to get to 90 points, and somebody on offense is going to get you to those 90 points. So I am holding the entire career of Terry Rozier before this against him. I have to admit, haven't watched a lot of Charlotte basketball this year.
There is a bonus to this trade that hasn't really been explored, is that it's unlikely that Kyle Lowry finishes the season with Charlotte. He might get rerouted or bought out. And if he ends up going to one of the teams that Miami is contending against, that automatically makes that team much worse.
Never thought I'd be looking up Tony Campbell's stats. It's just not a player.
I'm not sure it was him. I'm not sure it
Well,
was
he
him.
averaged 11.6 points for his career. He did have the Brady Anderson season. One year he averaged 23.2.
Look up the team's record the year
For
that he
example,
averaged
if
that.
Daryl Morey brings Kyle Lowry into the fold in Philadelphia, you've just significantly weakened the 76ers.
Put it on the poll, Juju. If the Sixers trade for Lowry, have they made Embiid terrible? Hello, Ron.
You're looking good,
Hello,
Ron.
Dan.
Ooh, are you looking good?
He is. He looks sexy right now. He looks a bit Lothario. He is in. It's a bit like the October, the Halloween Dracula, Roncula, the sexual Lothario. What's happening today? What are you doing today that you look so sharp?
I'm trying to be like Dan Le Batard last week when you came up there and you look like the biggest Kovic I've ever seen in my life. I'm thinking, God, I got to get up to this guy's game because you're looking fine.
I can't believe that you don't understand that I was wearing a ridiculous costume and my eyebrows were dyed on purpose to make a joke, and you thought that looked good.
I don't know. I wanted to date you. I thought you looked great.
All right, I'm uncomfortable with everything that's happening here. Let's get to some animal news with Ron. But the first thing I want explained, please, these cicadas. There is a once in every 200-year event approaching. In that,
Right, two major populations at the same time.
Synchronized cicadas will be making noise in 16 states. It's trillions of cicadas are coming out from under the ground. Explain to us what this is and why people shouldn't fear it.
Well, first of all, they don't bite. They don't sting. They are big insects. I mean, when they, their wingspan, when they open up, is going to be 4 or 5 inches, something like that. They're very, very loud. They look very alienish, for lack of a better term, but they don't hurt anything. So when you see them, what they'll do is they'll come out of the ground, kind of like in a larval stage where they don't have any wings or anything. They look like this huge little beetle with no wings. They'll climb up a tree, and then all of a sudden that thing parts open, and this fully developed cicada comes out of it, and those massive wings. It's a fantastic animal. And then you hear, it'll be deafening, but nothing to panic about. They'll be providing food for a lot of animals. Some animals don't eat them because they're distasteful to some animals, but other birds and other animals do find them somewhat delicious, and they will eat them. So they'll be providing a ton of food. But this is almost a once in a lifetime event when you have two major populations, because they don't come out about, depending on the species, but once every 7 years, once every 17 years. So when you have this group together, synchronized coming out together, it's going to look like a freaking onslaught. It's going to be fantastic.
Ron, I know you said it comes out once every 10 years. For me, it feels like every single year the cicadas are out. Wherever you go, I don't believe that.
Yeah. No. They because there's different populations. That's what makes this event so incredible, because it's kind of worked. It's like all of a sudden you've got these events like normally come out on a leap year, and all of a sudden the leap years are the same year for two different populations. And that's what's going to make it so historic. You've got this massive just, immersion of all these cicadas at one time, but there's different populations. So every year, while this population hatches out, the other population is still dormant under the dirt, waiting for another year or two. But when you get them all coming out at the same time, which again is very rare, it's like a lunar eclipse. It's very rare when all of a sudden, or a solar eclipse, when the sun and the moon coincide and you get it right together, that's when you get the solar eclipse. Not that the sun and the moon aren't always there, but you don't get them together synchronized
Ron,
like that.
I was in Washington 17 years ago when this happened, and the sound is terrifying. The sound is ominous and haunting, and makes it is. It's very loud and annoying as well. Don't tell me it's not. It's loud and
it's
annoying.
Loud and it's annoying, but it's not haunting. It's not haunting, Dan.
The reason I'm saying it's haunting is because I don't want my life filled with loud and annoying. I see enough of that in the mirror.
Sorry. How long will it last, Ron? The sound, the annoying sound. How long will it last?
It'll be the whole summer, man.
The whole summer?
I feel like this just happened in Washington like 2 years ago, Ron. Like, and you're saying like, oh, it's two speed. It's like two different breeds of birds in the sky. Who cares? They're birds. It's the same thing.
What happened in Washington was the one population, the 17-year locust. That's what happened in Washington. Now you've got two populations, so you can multiply that by a certain number, and that's what's going to make it exponentially more impactful. I mean, this is really cool. This is a cool thing. Look at that bug. What a cool looking thing. A kid couldn't draw that out of his imagination with those red eyes, those massive wings. This is a really cool insect.
Ron, if one species of cicada breeds with another species of cicada, do we then have like a new hybrid cicada potential being formed here?
I mean, I guess that's a potential. I'm not.
It's once in a lifetime, Ron. I mean, if you're ever going to get it on with a different type of cicada, now's the chance.
That's a good point, Billy. That's a good point.
Thank
Now's
you.
the time. You're right.
Ron, are there other animal events that you look forward to? Like, are there other examples?
I look forward to the monarch migration. The thing about monarch butterflies, guys, we look at them and pretty much everybody's seen a monarch butterfly. But understand that this insect, guys, will travel. One butterfly, well, millions of butterflies will travel from the southern part of Canada, the northern part of the range, fly down all the way down to the central part of Mexico. A bug, okay, thousands of miles, flying back to a forest that their great-great-grandparents left from generations before to start the cycle all over again. How does a bug, and we're talking about millions, I've been there in central Mexico where there's millions and millions of monarch butterflies all in these Oyamel fir trees in the 10,000-foot elevation in the mountains, and you're surrounded by millions of butterflies. It's the most amazing thing to understand that these butterflies, all east of the Rocky Mountains, United States, have all come to this one place. How is that? I get lost driving my car in Miami without GPS. How does a flipping bug find its way from southern Canada to a mountain range that it's never been at? That's the mountain range that their great-great-grandparents started an epic journey generations before that. This is amazing stuff, guys.
Don't butterflies have a really short lifespan? Like, why?
Yes,
why do they do that?
No, this is what's interesting, Billy, because the first generation that leaves that central Mexico to move north, they only live about 5 weeks. They lay their eggs, they die. That next generation hatches out, moves a little further north. They lay their eggs and die. That next generation moves a little farther north, makes it up to southern Canada. They lay their eggs and die. Each one of those generations lives only about 5 weeks. This next generation that hatches out on the northern part of the country, they live 8 to 9 months. They're called the Methuselah generation because Methuselah, for those of you who have any religion in your background, you realize is the longest living person in the Bible. Methuselah. So they're called the Methuselah generation. They live 8 to 9 months, and they don't take several generations to take that trip that was taken to go north. They fly all the way back. That one butterfly will fly all the way back, thousands of miles. This is such amazing stuff.
I want to play some video here for Ron Magill. Let's start with the raccoon. Pablo Torre recently found out, Stugotz, that wolves like to hug each other, but I wasn't aware until this video that raccoons like to hug humans. Ron generally tells people not to have pets like this, that it can go wrong. What is happening here in this video, Ron, where someone is so comfortable with a pet raccoon that he is allowing the pet raccoon to hug his face?
Well, this is someone who's obviously raised a raccoon. The raccoon is imprinted on the human. And, people will look at this, and this is dangerous because people say, oh, my God, you see, they are so cuddly. They're so cute. I can show you the same types of videos with a lion, with an elephant, even with a shark. Does it mean that you should do that? Absolutely not. This is by far the exception as opposed to the rule, and that could go south very, very quickly. So that's not a very smart thing to do. Stay off damn social media watching these videos that try to encourage you to do things that are just not very bright. Because that raccoon in a split second could rip your face off.
Okay, I was going to say, the worst of it is what? Like, that goes wrong. We've talked about this with
ripping your face off is pretty bad.
Yeah, but a baboon. Remember the baboon that was a pet, and then one day the woman had her face entirely rearranged? How bad?
Chimpanzee.
Okay, yeah, actually, yeah, baboon would be even
fine.
more dangerous. The worst of that is what? It's a ripped off face?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they could do some serious damage. It could take your eye out. Depending on where it's biting you. Have you ever seen the teeth of a raccoon? They're unbelievable. They're like, a small little Doberman.
Let's play for Ron the video of a polar bear. A polar bear, it would appear to be diving, I'm guessing for food here, 10 to 12 feet down. What is your rating of how good a dive that was and how unusual?
That doesn't seem to be about food, Dan. That seems to be about peer pressure.
What's happening there?
Polar bears in captivity, they face a lot of challenges. Again, I know I work in a zoo and I shouldn't be saying this, but the fact of the matter is it's nearly impossible to totally provide a polar bear under human care with everything that it needs. And that animal is basically just trying to interact with its habitat. We got a lot of people out there screaming about the window. It's trying to utilize as much of the habitat as it can to keep itself mentally and physically stimulated. And that's, a credit to the zoo. They try to provide all these types of enrichment things within the habitat. But polar bears, they're tough. They're very, very tough. This is a large nomadic animal that, travels many, many miles a day. So it's a big challenge to effectively keep them under human care.
You looked sad. You were made sad by that video.
Yeah, listen, I don't want to go out on major limbs here, but there are certain animals that I just think that we still have not been able to do the best job to keep them under human care, to provide them with everything they really need. Polar bears are one of those animals.
Speaking of animals under human care, Mark Zuckerberg is apparently raising Wagyu and Angus cattle, and he's apparently feeding these steer macadamia nut meal and making them drink beer. Is this a proper diet for cattle? Well, obviously not the beer situation, but yeah.
I'm not a nutritionist, but I don't think that's really a proper diet. Cattle are herbivores, and they should be on a pure vegetarian diet. Even though I understand the nuts can be, macadamia nuts could be termed as vegetarian, and I'm sure almost any animal that's a vegetarian would eat them. But I don't know if it's really, fulfilling the nutritional requirements of cattle.
Ron, I want to talk to you about what happened yesterday with the Seaquarium in Miami, because I want maximum public pressure, and I've seen that the mayor of Miami has finally done something because she was getting maximum public pressure. You were made sad by the polar bear. The Miami Seaquarium is basically an open-air prison for animals like that, and finally something's being done that's humane. What do you make of yesterday's news?
In your words, finally. I mean, and that's a credit to a lot of your listeners, because I know that a lot of the listeners have written into the county government, to the mayor's office. We discussed this last time. I said the best thing you can do is write the politicians. When the people lead, the leaders will follow. And that pressure has finally come to fruition here. I'm proud that the mayor has taken that step to rescind that lease and get rid of it. Now what they should do is just take the water park that's not going to be built here and build it there. Get rid of that.
Is there anything else in terms of action that our listeners can do, because they were meaningful here? Is there more action so that the pressure doesn't die? So it's not just a press release yesterday and then we're going to look up in 2 years and Miami Seaquarium is still open for business, treating animals that cruelly.
Yeah, keep the pressure on, Dan. Say, listen, we see that you've done this. Now follow through. You've got to follow through until we see the Seaquarium, that company pack their bags and get out of there. I would not consider it a victory. That's the bottom line, because as you said, sometimes they lay low and think people are going to forget about things, and then they come back again. You want to make sure that doesn't happen. This company has not has proven anything but, to me, being capable of running that institution the way it should have been properly operated.
Ron, we will talk to you again next week. Thank you. A reminder, The Pride of a Lion, What the Animal Kingdom Can Teach Us About Survival, Fear, and Family. It is a hit. It is a bestseller in some niche categories. Thank you. Thank you, Ron, for being on with us. We appreciate it.
All right, guys, have a good week. Take care.